right now we've been talking a lot about animate beings, so humans and animals in zoos and in the wild. But you argue that the constructal law actually unites the animate and inanimate, and I was wondering if how could like what's the best example that bridges that gap of the animate and inanimate? Because as you say in your book, and I think in many books actually, you say that's a very taboo topic to say in science that the animate and the inanimate are actually interlocked. But I'd like to hear your argument about it.
And the way who perpetuate the taboo are the very people who are against religion. You see, a religion, the separation animate inanimate comes from the church, okay, or from the Bible. There is this. Uh, First of all, it's about the individual, and then um, having a pact with the animals, obviously different, and then a pact with everything that's not just the fish, but the river and the winds and the other things. The obviously the crop, and so if you start from the individual, and then of course, there's a hierarchy of important objects in coming from religion. Then you end up with this animate versus inanimate. The very words speak of the difference between um, the living person, because animate really means a body with soul. The word soul means souffle from French and other Latin-based languages, which means expiration during respiration. Um, yes.
So
So that
breathing.
breathing, breathing, yes, but that's kind of coming from medicine. The point is that people decide that a person is dead when getting close to the face of that person, there is nothing. They use a mirror to see whether there's steam coming out of the nose, and they did. Okay, so no blowing means death. So that is the animate, and that applies to the cat, applies to all sorts of other creatures. The word creature, by the way, comes from the church, meaning it was created. Get it?
Hmm.
Yeah, there we go. So that's science for you. It inherited this dichotomy of nature, meaning here are the living, and here are the other things that are not like the animals, the inanimate. And then I come and say, you give me a break. Yes, there's a difference between those moving. I call that the live flow system. Yes, and then there's the rest, which used to be moving, but it stopped moving, and that is the dead state. By the way, thanks to Stodala and those people in 1800s, that's the dead state, also known as the equilibrium state. Okay, but over here where there's movement, um, that movement is happening because of power coming from an architecture that forced that object to move. Animal body or body of water in the river.
Hmm.
The whole Earth is a heat engine. A heat engine. The fire comes from the sun. Um, there's all this everything that moves on Earth, including the two of us, is driven by power from the sun sooner or later, with some intermediaries such as the plantation of, you name it, the wheat, the corn, whatever. Uh, but and then at the other end, you have a dissipation of that movement, as I explained earlier. But the only difference in this bag of live flow systems is that some of them, meaning the so-called animals, are more complicated. They are more complicated, and they are much more recent than the bigger scale. the rivers, the winds, the oceanic currents, the landslides, the mudslides, the of course earthquakes, by the way, because the crust, the earth crust is very, very thin compared with the radius of Earth, and it's basically a bunch of what do you call these things? Um, uh,
The plates?
yeah, plates of ice floating on the river,
Hmm.
bump into each other. The day before, the river was covered by ice. But then in the morning, if the sun comes up and if the sun is strong enough, then you would be foolish to try to walk across the river because it became a lattice of competing plates. And at the end of the day, those plates have already traveled from Bratislava to Budapest. Uh, so it's all movement, it's all driven. Um, and something else I saw on your list of bullets, every single thing has configuration. It has shape and structure. Okay, design means drawing. Uh, I don't care who made the drawing, okay?
Yes.
Um, but it has discernible contrast of lines versus background, okay? Um, and this view is really not unifying. I'm not claiming that the river is a cat. This view is welcoming. There are people with this diversity and inclusiveness. Well, it's about inclusiveness, and the point that I don't see, I don't, I don't see a difference really
Hmm.
between our discussion and what others try to kind of cut into and claim total ownership to one half of it, like
Right.
biology versus, say, geophysics or cosmology. That's another place where things are moving and they have configuration. They are called uh, obviously solar systems and um, webs of celestial bodies and filaments, and I laugh. I wrote a paper about this. It's a huge scale version of the snowflake. Snowflake.
Hmm.
Uh, that too is solid, but I predicted it, and that was fun. I've also predicted things about the so-called celestial bodies, namely the hierarchy of that. Um, they and again, if you liberate yourself, yeah, liberate yourself uh, to include in your field of vision everything that moves, then you become a lot more powerful as a predictor of things. Uh, you become immune, really, to being surprised by coincidences. Um, I'm not sure it's a good thing to be immune to surprises, but but since I like you, I confess, I confess. I had a
Appreciate it.
wait. I had a student here uh, who now works in Munich, American guy, um, who 10 years ago he took my course in Design in Nature, which is the books which are predictive of what will be, meaning why I'm not very easy to surprise. So one day here you learn about something about Duke students. He says, Professor Bejan, you should change your name. Forget about this Bejan name, Bejan. You should call yourself Nostradianus. No stupid.
It's not very humble.
I did not call myself that, but
Yeah.
it was a pretty good joke because several of these students, even I teach every spring, they come with these questions, can you predict this, or why does this happen? Oh, can you predict the rankings of basketball teams in the NCAA whatever bracket? Of course I can, Uh, can you predict university rankings? Yes, of course of course I publish these things.
Yeah,
Uh,
you have a chapter of that in your book.
yeah, yeah. It's about movement, mobility. For that, you need an attractor because these things, the students converge from an area, from the whole globe these days, to points of attraction. Some are major, meaning that they accept a small percentage of the applicants. Others are not so major. Uh, but it is the kind of movement that the water demonstrates when falling as rain on the plain. It uh, it seeks the attractor, which is the lowest point. Okay, it could be a drain somewhere, or it could be the mouth of the river at the sea. Um, but it's in the whole globe is a tapestry of these area to point flows. And so if you know the attractors, then you know the movement, or if you know the area, you know that over time that area will be occupied by an increasing number of attractors or sinks because the travel becomes easier, communication easier, meaning you can teach applicants a lot faster, and you can teach with images and videos what to expect if they become students at Rutgers. You see, you can meaning education itself has become just like the clothing and the boat, all of that. Education itself has become a huge design for saving power, uh,
Saving power.
saving power, meaning saving the power of the student. Uh, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I think the students should be uh, pushed through the ropes, okay? But in the other day, I was in another conversation like this, um, that everything where I was raised, that you told me your grandfather is still alive, your grandparents?
No, no, they've passed away. My
Yeah,
parents are still alive, obviously.
ask your parents grew up in Czechoslovakia? Yeah, ask them. They will tell you this. Back then, everything was done pencil and paper, pencil and
Hmm.
paper. Okay, slide rule, not all these computers. And in elementary school, they were taught not only how to write by hand and how to make drawings, but they were taught calligraphy, how to write.
Yeah, I think my parents mentioned that actually.
Yes, yes. Yes, that's right. All of that takes effort, takes time. It could be called low tech compared with what these people do here today. And so, by the way, this is the kind of laziness that comes through advancement, and it has the effect of dumbing the society, dumbing it, because you could look in the grocery store, they cannot do addition and subtraction and division mentally. Okay,
Hmm.
they have to use the machine to tell you something, to give you change.
Yeah, the skills have atrophied, is what you're saying.
The skills, if they existed, correct, they are not there anymore. Uh, that is the destiny of the lazy athlete or the fat athlete. Okay, it is to lose the race, um,
Hmm.
and so education has become almost effortless from the point of view of the student. They go and the teacher shows them slides or videos. The student doesn't write anything down. Uh, and all of that like, amounts to zero transmitted from hand to mind, meaning the hand of the student to the mind of the student. And that's why I insist on no machines on the table. You have to take notes by hand by writing. I never show videos or slides. I write with chalk on the blackboard, and I tell them why I'm doing it, because that is the way. Meaning that the student at the end of the hour, the student goes home with his version, meaning written by himself, uh, his version of my lecture,
Mm.
not my lecture, but his version of, meaning his story of what he heard from me, because this is what I got when I was in school in Central Europe.
Right.
Uh, but uh, science came from that kind of school, not
Hmm.
not from what goes on today.